Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Yeah, October has been quite a good month for Veve. So we have seen a rebound in user engagement and activity on the market. We also saw an influx of new users coming into the app, a very stable and balanced market activity, and most importantly, a rebound in drop participation, which highlights a shift in the sentiment among the collectors, just being more excited for the drops that Veve had to offer during October. Of course, a lot of it can be attributed to the NY ComicCon event, where Veve again partnered with Marvel. They shared a booth there and were present, and they had a great line of Comic-Con exclusive drops each day of the Comic-Con. So what we're going to do today is just have a quick recap on the overall October numbers, but then we will go and look at the data and see what it tells us about the effect that NY ComicCon had on the user engagement, and also especially take a closer look at those new users that joined during the event. Did the users engage with the Veve app? How much did they engage? And are they actually still sticking around? So with that said, let's dive right into it. So last week I shared the numbers for October, again as I do every month. For those of you who don't want to miss these posts, I also publish it on my new newsletter, VeveFox Insider. Here's the version for October. It's the same stats, but I also provide a summary of the key insights, my final thoughts on it, and if you sign up, it's totally free. Then you will get this monthly market pulse directly into your inbox, and you don't have to worry to miss the post on Twitter or X. So what did the numbers tell us? All in all, as I said in the intro, we saw a rebound in user activity. So in total we had 23,000 active wallets, and we had, which was an increase of roughly 7% compared to last month. And we had 680 new active wallets, which meant an increase of more than 40% compared to last month. Remember that September was not the greatest month for Veve. But yeah, and again, I know I repeat this a lot, but it's very important to remember that when I talk about active wallets or new wallets, it always refers to activity in terms of making some sort of purchase on the Veve app. So either minting, selling, or purchasing on the secondary market. Very important, because there could be users that are engaging with the app in other ways, opening the app, scrolling around, but not making a purchase. And also new wallets does not relate directly to new installs on the app. It's just those wallets that make the very first transactions. So with that out of the way, let's continue. As we can see, market activity remained stable, but we see that in terms of buyers to sellers ratio, we actually had more buyers than sellers. Yeah, which speaks to quite a healthy trading environment. So we always want to see more buyers than sellers. So, and then the biggest changes were actually when it comes to like the Veve store. So the number of drops actually remained the same. So we had the same amount of drops in October than we had in September. However, we had a significant increase in minters, so users that actually bought something directly from the Veve store. And this was a 15% increase compared to September. But then the important metric, and it's a metric that I introduced just recently, is the tokens issued to minted ratio. So this tells us how many of the tokens that were issued, so that were available in the drop, were actually minted. And here we saw the biggest increase. So we saw an increase of over 15%, and the token to issue ratio this month was 74 or almost 75%. Which is really good, because it tells us that the drops were attractive for the users, that users participated in the drops, more drops got sold out, or fewer items are left in the store. So yeah, all in all, a very big improvement compared to previous months. Of course, as already mentioned, we had the NY ComicCon, so this also played a huge role, and that's what we're going to look at next. So I prepared this analysis, just a short breakdown, and mainly I wanted to focus on those users that joined during the event, because we saw that a total of 680 users joined, but only 25% of those joined during the NY ComicCon. And what we also always want to know is like the quality of those users that come into the app. So especially when it's due to an event like that, because maybe it's just users that get caught by some sort of promotion, they just try it out and mint something in the store or participate on one of the drops because they are like seeing it on the Marvel booth. But we actually don't know how they feel about digital collecting, about Veve, about what do they do once they try the app. So the important thing is like how active were they engaging with Veve, and are they actually still around? So let's see what the data tells us. So first I just looked at of all the users that were active during October, how many were active during New York ComicCon. So as we saw previously, we had 23,000 active users in total in October, and 60% of them were active during New York ComicCon. So that means they made some transaction during those 4 days. Not necessarily meaning it was one of the ComicCon exclusive drops. Could have been one of the other drops or just activity on the market. Then when it comes to the new users, so as I said, we had 680 new users joining the Veve app that had their first activity during October, and 171 of those joined during New York ComicCon. So that's roughly 25%. So next I looked at how many days of the New York ComicCon event, which was a total of 4 days, from the 12th to the 15th, were those wallets active, and only looking at those wallets that joined during the New York ComicCon. And we see that 89% of them, so the vast majority, were only active on 1 day. Then we have 8% that were active on 2 days, and 3% roughly that were active on 3 days out of the 4 days of the New York ComicCon. This might look bad, however, this can also be explained by the fact that most of the highest influx of new users, so 112, actually came on the last day of the ComicCon, so on October 15th. So this explains why most of them were only active on 1 day of the New York ComicCon. So let's look at their activity during the whole month of October. Again, only looking at the new wallets that joined during New York ComicCon, and considering that the event took place in the middle of the month, so how many days were they active for the rest of October? And again, here we see that roughly 60% of them only were active during 1 day, but then we have roughly 27% that were active 2 to 3 days, and about 10% were active between 4 and 7 days. And then we have 3 wallets that were quite active 11, 12, and 16 days. So again, this activity always relates to a transaction. So is this good? Is this bad? Let's compare to the overall engagement of all active wallets in October. Of course, it is no surprise that like long-term Veve users will show a more consistent engagement than new users on the app. And this is what we see here, that of all the wallets that were active in October, here it's only 33% that were only active on 1 day, while we have 48% that were active 2 to 7 days. And then what really surprised me, if we scroll down, we have 41 wallets that were active each and every day of the month. So they made a transaction each and every day of October. 41 wallets. That's dedication, I would say. And also if we just look at people that just missed 1 or 2 days, then we are at roughly 100 wallets that were active almost every day of the month. So yeah, we do have some really dedicated collectors or users on the app. But back to our New York ComicCon joiners. So how did they engage? So let's break that down further. Here I looked at the percentage of those that were minters, buyers, and sellers. As we can see here, we have 80% were minters, which I think is not surprising because I guess those that joined during New York ComicCon, one of the first action they did was just try to participate on the drop. Then 35% were buyers, so they made a transaction on the secondary market. They made a purchase on the secondary market. And 40% were also sellers, so they made a sell on the market. And of course, this is not 100% because you can be a minter, a buyer, and a seller, or just one or two. But yeah, just comparing to the rest of wallets, we see that the minting is more or less the same proportion. Roughly 80% of the active wallets were minters. And then buyers and sellers is more balanced, let's say, with slightly more buyers than sellers, while with the new joiners we had slightly more sellers than we had buyers. But we can break that down even a bit further and look at the average mints per wallet and then comparing. So in this cell we have non-new wallets, so wallets that were around before October. This would be a new wallet, but not a New York Comic Con new wallets. This cell is wallets that joined in October, but not during New York Comic Con. And then here we have the wallets that joined during New York Comic Con. And we see, of course, that the old wallets, let's say, had a slightly higher average mints per wallet. So on average, they minted 4.9 items per wallet, while the new users on average minted 2.6 items. If we look at the purchases, we see the same. The old wallets, let's say, purchased on average 9.9 items on the secondary market. And here's the interesting part, the new wallets that joined during New York Comic Con had a significant higher average purchase per wallet than the other wallets that joined during October, but not during New York Comic Con. So this I thought was quite interesting to see. And then for sales, what I also really thought was interesting is, again, of course, the older wallets had a higher count. But here the wallets that joined during New York Comic Con had a lower average sales per wallet compared to the new wallets that joined during October but not during New York Comic Con. How does it translate to the net accumulation? Again, net accumulation is when we count all the mints, all the purchases minus the sales, and then what's the net balance basically of the wallet. So here the numbers are much closer. There's not that much of a difference, but again, of course, old wallets have a slightly higher count, and here also the wallets that joined during New York Comic Con had a higher net accumulation than the other new wallets. But, and this is the tricky part with Veve user base, is that the averages can be very deceiving, because we know that we have a very few big players that scoop up a lot on the market, and that can skew the numbers significantly. So lastly, we are going to look at the collection size at the end of October for those wallets. And this gives us a clearer picture. So these are only the wallets that joined during New York Comic Con. And here we see the collection size at the end of October. And we see that of those, these were like 171 wallets, 35 wallets or 20% at the end of October had 0 collectibles. So whatever they minted or purchased, they have sold. Then we have 50% that currently only hold 1 collectible. Then we have 22, almost 23% that hold 2 to 5 collectibles. And then here, this is, I think, the interesting part. We have 9 wallets that already collected 6 to 10 items. And well, those 3 wallets, we can say, are really in it, especially this wallet that is already owning more than 100 items. So this is a wallet that joined during New York Comic Con, and by the end of October already has more than 100 items in its wallet. Comparing this to the other new wallets, so new wallets that joined during October but not during New York Comic Con, it's very interesting, because here we have significantly less wallets that actually end up with a 0 collection size. It's only 4%, while the percentage here of wallets that have between 1 and 5 collectibles is more than 80%. It's 86%. And then we also have approximately 10% that have more than 5 collectibles. So yeah, I mean, it's still very early to judge the sentiment of the wallets or users that currently own 0 or 1 collectibles. Probably most of them are lost users, or at least users that are still not convinced of starting their collection on Veve. However, all those users that already collected more than 5 items, we can say that they are showing like a keen interest into collecting on Veve, and they make up 7 to 9% of the new wallets. And then we still have those 33% that own between 2 and 5, which I would say they have like a sort of chance to also stick around. So yeah, all in all, I think these numbers don't look too bad. They are quite promising. We see that an event like the New York Comic Con does lead to excitement among the collector community, and that Veve is clearly also still attracting new users, especially during events like that. And also the engagement of those new users varies a lot. We see that a percentage of them at least really started diving into the world of digital collecting, and probably will stick around for a while longer. So yeah, just let's keep an eye on that. And stay tuned for future analysis. That's all I had for you today. Hope you enjoyed it. If yes, as always, leave a like, share, subscribe. Check out also my newsletter because, again, this video will come out as a newsletter format. So you will be able to go over it again, look at the numbers, look at the stats, and yeah, see you in the next one.